Hello, my lovelies. Thank you for tuning in to another wonderful edition of Nurse Amy TV channel. It's your favorite nurse, Nurse Amy, back on YouTube. So I am so glad I'm going to answer this question. It seemed like I'm doing a lot of Q&A now because I'm kind of doing catch up, right? I'm doing catch up. I haven't been posting and my email is filled with questions. Some have suggestions, some have orders, but it's okay. One thing you need to understand, I've told you guys this before, everyone isn't going to be in your corner. Everyone isn't going to be supporting you, but then support those who support you. I'm not going to spend time engaging with people who are not there to support me, I mean, you need to understand this. The fastest way to be unhappy, the fastest way to hate yourself and be bitter and spiral into depression is trying to please everybody. You can't please everybody. You do what you put your best forward, okay? Put your best forward. Those that are meant for you, those that are meant to be with you, support you, will always be by you. Don't worry about the haters. The haters are doing their job. What's your job? I always say this. I should bottle this, put it, and serve this solution to people, because I find people saying, well, okay, so something happened recently. It was actually a nursing student who, hey, Tabitha, congratulations, she passed the NCLEX. I am so proud of you. And she said, oh yeah, we got to talk about this. So she passed her PN class. So she's going on now to her RN. Now, again, for those of you who don't know, I'm a life coach, right? So I actually started with Tabitha from being a nanny, okay? She was a nanny and then she went into housekeeping. I met her at my place where I work, and then I encouraged her to go into CNA, and then she was like she wanted to come into my class, but she couldn't, so she went to another CNA tutor. However, I still private coached her, so she passed her CNA, and then she went to LPN, and I'm so glad she passed the LPN. Now she is working. Lucky for her, she was actually working before she did her LPN, her NCLEX. Girl, you know what? You can say whatever you want. This is post-COVID. People are looking for people, okay? People are ready to pick people off the street just to make sure they're working. They will, yeah, that's the way it is. But anyway, she was lucky. She worked as an LPN, and then now she's passed that LPN. I'm so glad, her NCLEX. Now, one thing that happened to her at her place of work was someone told her, okay, y'all know where I'm going with this because we have talked about this before. A CNA who was very problematic, and you CNA, I love my CNAs. Y'all know that. I've been a CNA before, not for very long. It was when I was in nursing school, but I worked as a CNA. And I can say this, you don't have to be a CNA to appreciate a CNA, okay? Just be human. Appreciate people who work with you, okay? And people you supervise. But anyway, I do digress. I get passionate about this. But a CNA told Tabitha that, oh, she's not a real nurse. She's an LPN. Okay. I don't know why people do this, but I can only tell you it comes from a place of pain. It comes from a place of frustration. It comes from a place of self-doubt, low self-esteem, and not enough self-worth, because I don't know what you're standing on to call an LPN not a nurse. I mean, the word nurse is even there. Licensed practical nurse. I've even had someone write to me in my channel here, I can't remember how long ago, saying that, please, an LPN is not a nurse. Okay, not a registered nurse. Yeah, there's a difference. See, sometimes when people are hating, they show how shallow they are, or they show their ignorance, because there was nowhere in my channel, there's nowhere in my world or any world where an LPN is a registered nurse. One is LPN and the other is RN, okay? And for those of you who've been along my journey, I was an LPN for a long time. And so I got people like this. They didn't necessarily talk to me on my face. They said it behind me. But LPN stands for Licensed Practical Nurse, nurse. They are still nurses. Actually, most places in long-term care facilities, they are the nurses. There are places where I've worked where LPNs are DONs. There are places where I've worked where LPNs are unit managers. Now, in the state where I live in, and you all know I live in Ohio, there is a lot of emphasis on being a registered nurse. That's not how it is in a lot of places. So I guess people in Ohio sometimes kind of get it confused because they think, when you're an LPN, I don't know what they think you are, So again, you try to educate those that want to be educated, but then there are those who don't care. Don't argue with people. Please don't. It's a waste of time. However, a licensed practical nurse is a nurse. Okay, now she might not have stayed in school as long as a registered nurse. In some states, again, they do. There are places where LPNs will spend as much as 2 to 3 years to be a licensed practical nurse. And there are places where to get to be a registered nurse, those 2 years, you're a registered nurse. So it depends. There are those for 4 years where you get a degree. I know people who 4 years in a place and they didn't get their degree. Okay, but that's not what I'm going into. An LPN is not a registered nurse. Yes, you're right. For that person who wrote me and for people who keep attacking LPNs at their place of work, there's a difference. One says registered nurse, RN. I know we all can read. I'm hoping. And then there's licensed practical nurse, which is LPN. Now, what is the difference? The fundamental difference, going by the way it is taught in nursing school, is the RN, again, oversees the LPN. Now, in some states, I think it's in the West and the Southwest, they're called licensed vocational nurses, LVN, okay? So it is not seen as a full degree or a 4-year degree or a 2-year associate degree. So if you're not in that line, if it's not an associate degree or a bachelor's, so you are an LPN, you're just licensed, you're not registered, okay? And then when it comes to work, there's a thin line between the work that an LPN and RN does, but a lot of times, especially when you're answering questions, okay, for my NCLEX students, when it has to do with assessments, when it has to do with unstable medical conditions or situations, the RN is the one that should be doing the assessments and carrying out the treatments and also monitoring that unstable condition, right? Okay, this is just a concise way of me trying to explain the difference. Whereas the LPN will deal with more chronic illnesses that are stable, that are predictable, that again, they're not things that would need you to do very detailed assessments. Now, that is book. I say book because you want to pass, right? I always tell you guys, there's a way to pass and there's a way to get the work done. There are a lot of LPNs that take care of unstable patients in the real world. Okay, so LPNs are nurses. They give injections to subcutaneous, intramuscular. There are places in Ohio where they don't start an IV, but they still maintain. And I say they don't start because fish, book, they shouldn't, but then I've worked in places where LPNs are starting IVs, okay? Let's not go into that. I'm curious to see what LPNs are doing post-COVID. You're going to tell, oh God, we are short of the qualified RNs, whatever, that should be doing stuff, and you have an LPN that can save a life, and you're telling me that he or she will not start an IV. Again, I'm not picketing hospitals and nursing homes or what have you. Are you kidding me? People saying LPNs are not nurses. Where do you come off saying that? And CNAs, you need to stop. I have told you guys this. There's no need to hate. There are nurse practitioners today that I know, even students of mine, that are on the nurse practitioner route and that are already nurse practitioners that started as CNAs. Don't be hating. You just, again, run your race, guys. I tell you, run your race. So please don't be hating. A licensed practical nurse is not a registered nurse. Yes, we know that because it's LPN, licensed practical nurse. And a registered nurse is RN. Am I missing something? I'll catch you in my next video. And for those of you who are supporting me, I love you. Make sure you visit GlamCare Academy on YouTube. Make sure you visit GlamCareAcademy.com and, support me by buying my products. Why don't you come try my services? See how Nurse Amy does, how I get down. All right. Love you guys. Take care.